Hi everyone, welcome back to the Jack and Joe show. It's been a couple of weeks away from me. Jack Stroudley, as always, filling the void probably better than I do. Jack Kelly, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, very well. Looking forward to talking Fulham with yourself, an FA Cup quarter final, Joe.
Yeah, it's I feel as if it's gone a little bit under the radar this week because of the last two games, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we've got an FA Cup quarter final this weekend, which is just so exciting. And regardless of what we thought the league story would be for Fulham this season, I don't think any of us were expecting this, and it's a tough test, but one that we're all looking forward to, and I'm sure the players are as well. Leno put it very well in his post-match interview following the Arsenal game, where he said, "If you can't get excited enough for these games, you're in the wrong sport," and I think he's spot on. So, Jack, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Arsenal, a 3-0 defeat. Few people on Twitter getting very upset, as you would always imagine will happen after a defeat. I think it was probably the manner of it more than anything. We have to remember who you were up against, but I'd love to hear your take on the game and what you think we should change going forward, especially when you factor in we don't have long to think about this defeat. We have to go for our biggest game of the season this Sunday.
Look, the Arsenal game is going to be always the toughest of the season alongside Manchester City. That's
Yeah.
just a fact. Um, yeah, I was surprised of how easy it was for Arsenal to pick us apart and carve us open. That being said, we were missing Paulinho, but we must not use that as an excuse every time we lose a game of football if he's not playing. We must find a way to sort of deal with his, but he's such a unique player in the way he tackles, he breaks up play, and his stats this season alone have been insane. That he makes an enormous difference to our team, and to have someone like Harrison Reed in that role or Sasa Lukic, um, it just adds a completely different dynamic, really. But there are question marks over Robinson's performance. I thought he was at fault for what was the first goal. Well,
He
he
was
scored an
probably at
own
fault for
goal.
two of them, wasn't he? Let's face
Yeah,
it.
um, but I've come out of this not angry, not frustrated, just sort of still really happy with how the season's gone. And I know you're quite rational as well when it comes to justifying a defeat. I saw you before the game. We had a quick chat about it, and I would like, because I did the quick take and I've had my say on it. I'd rather hear your thoughts on the manner of the defeat, because were there
Yeah.
concerning signs in there, or is it just a case of the opposition being that much more superior than us?
There's definitely concerning signs, regardless of opposition, because I just thought we were way too soft from the first minute until the last. Like, I know we improved in the second half. That was always going to happen when you think of the state of the game at half time. Arsenal know that they've got the game against Sporting Lisbon on Thursday. They're 3-0 up. The game's done. It's sealed. They don't have to go forward and press intensely and make it 4 or 5. And that's what I was worried about at half time. So I am pleased with what I saw in the second half in comparison, because it was just a bit of welcome relief compared to what we were seeing. But the game was completely lost in midfield. And you can sit here and you can say, yes, we were missing Polina. That's completely true. But the other players didn't step up. And that's the fact, the matter of fact. Lukic, I don't think was great. Reed, I thought, had a poor game as well, despite trying his hardest. And Pereira, who I think we've just been running him into the ground, really.
I think, yeah, that's
Um,
definitely the case.
After the Brazilian season ended, he didn't really have a break, maybe a month after signing before we go into the Premier League season. You get the month off for the World Cup, but that's about it. And, I think the fact of the matter is, as you say, the opposition is the toughest at this moment in time possible. And
Mm.
if you're going to have an off day, that's not who you want it against. But we've seen Arsenal do this to very good teams. Brighton played them without McAllister and without Caicedo, and they went 4-1 down very quickly. They got a goal back to make it a bit more respectable. That could have been us. We hit the bar.
It was 4-3 in the end, wasn't it? With Brighton?
Well, I actually got one ruled out for VAR,
Oh.
but very nearly 4-3.
Oh.
Matoma, that was one of the first games when he really just came alive. The day that we beat Southampton, I think it was, New Year's Eve. Bournemouth, I know that I would say that we're a higher quality side than them. Earlier in the season, they were 2-0 down after 11 minutes. Could have been a lot worse for them. Brentford lost in very similar fashion to us when they were missing Norgard, who I would say is their equivalent to Polinia. They were 2-0 down on the 28th minute, which I think is exactly the same as us. The only difference is that they conceded a third just after half-time, whereas we conceded it just before half-time. Vieira, like you said. So the attacking midfielder, because in our game it was Odegaard. They're a very good team that can easily pick you apart if you're not on it, and we weren't on it. And we haven't been on it completely for a little while now. Even that Brighton game when we won, we both came here and said that we were quite fortunate. But if we continue to play like that, it would catch up against us. I'm not overly concerned. I'm just disappointed because I really think that we could have given Arsenal a game if we raised our level to some of the performances that we've seen this season. But I'm happy to move past it and into a slightly easier run of fixtures on paper after this United game. And I think that's what we should talk about next, because I don't want to be overly critical of this group. And I put that on Twitter as well. After such a great season, you're going to have games like this. And it just so happened that it fell against the league leaders when we didn't have Polinia and when we didn't have Willian, who's another huge loss. I also am not 100% sure as to why Diop was dropped. My personal opinion is you play your best defender against the best team. I think Diop is the better defender than Tosin. I think Tosin is normally slightly better on the ball. He definitely wasn't on Sunday, although I don't think he was particularly helped by those in front of him, in particular Lukic and Reed, not really offering him anything in terms of options when playing out from the back. But I think it's one that we just have to put behind us now, Jack, and look ahead to far more important games. Arsenal looked really good and far better than when we played against them earlier in the season, it has to be said. And they didn't look nervous. And that is a sign of potentially champions-elect. So let's see what happens with them. But we do have one more really tough home game this season in City. Hopefully Polinia for that one, as long as he doesn't get another 5 yellows or a red before then. 15. I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah, then he gets a 3-game ban, by the way, if it's 15, which would just be absolutely horrendous. But I think let's come on to talk about United, Jack.
United. I've never been more excited for a game, I don't think, ever.
Wow.
No, I think that's an exaggeration. I think I'm just really excited for it for more reasons that have nothing to do with the football game.
Fantastic.
So, when the news came through that Casemiro had been sent off, my mind was away from the Arsenal game and my head was on Wembley way. I was getting very giddy.
Yeah.
Look, it was huge news for us. I said on the quick take that having Paulinho in and Casemiro out was like double the boost of just having Paulinho back. Yeah. I'm not saying that Manchester United will crumble like Fulham crumble when they don't have Paulinho, when they don't have Casemiro, but it's a help. And in these sort of games, you need every boost you can get because we are the underdog.
Yeah.
And they play Thursday night. Whether that's going to be a difficult game or not, we're not sure. A 4-1 aggregate score is going to...
The tie's basically over, isn't it, now?
Well, yeah, I suppose it is. But Joe, no Garnacho. He's on crutches. Yeah. And just a midfield, which will probably be Fred McTominay and Bruno Fernandes, perhaps. I'm trying to think of...
Potentially Sabitzer.
Sabitzer, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It just looks a little bit more desirable for Fulham on paper than it did this time last week. That being said, Rashford's on incredible form. Fernandes is still very, very good. Weghorst will always cause an issue with his hold-up play. And off the goal he scored on Thursday night, he'll be wanting to add to his collection. Luke Shaw at the back. Martinez, Varane, Dalot, De Gea, like very, very good players. And actually, When they came to Craven Cottage, we gave them a very good game, and they won it in the last minute. It was quite fine margins, as some would say. And
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Manchester United?
Well, United, even with a full strength team, I think are one of the top 6 sides where, probably alongside Spurs, I never expect to get dominated by them, even when they're at their best. And by that, what I mean is I think their style of play, they're extremely dangerous in transition, especially through Marcus Rashford. But I think we can definitely give them a game. And I think we showed that in the home game. We deserved more, like you said. I think we deserved potentially to even win that game. I think draw maybe was the fair result, but we definitely didn't deserve to lose it. I think draw, now I think about some of the chances they had, is definitely fair. But Garnacho was the difference, and he's out of this game. Casemiro, I think, was completely shown up on that November evening by Palhinha, although I think he's a fantastic player on his day, and I'm delighted he's out. The switch between us having Palhinha to us not having Palhinha, I think, is far greater than them having Casemiro or not. But it's a huge advantage, as you say. And us gaining Palhinha back compared to Sunday, them losing Casemiro compared to Sunday, it's a huge turn in our favour. From very unlikely, I would say, to go there and win, to now having a real chance. I honestly think it's that big. I'm expecting a good game. I'm expecting a big reaction from Fulham, because let's face it, if we don't get one, we're going to get battered, because we were that poor in the last 2 games. But I'm expecting a reaction. I'm expecting to see the levels to what we've previously seen. And, you know, we're on the whole not awful away from home. We've gone to some great grounds this season. We've at least kept it tight. Haven't been to Old Trafford this season yet. Obviously, that's the last day of the season, and what could be a very big game for both sides potentially, or it could be completely meaningless by that point.
It could be, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting what happens there. But in terms of the team news, Jack, I mean, we've heard nothing at this point. Recording on Tuesday afternoon, we've heard nothing to suggest that anyone is out since Sunday. I don't think that that's the case. We don't know if Willian's back. We do know that Palhinha is back. And we do know that Diop had no injury issues. So from my point of view, I'm thinking we go back to the usual first choice team, which would be Leno in goal, and that's ahead of Rodak. I think we're too far down in the competition to be playing Rodak. I think we play our best team now, and Leno is the better goalkeeper. I think that the back four, Tete, Robinson, they didn't have their finest games on the weekend. They're our best fullbacks by far. They've got to start. And I think it's got to be Tim Ream and Diop. I think that Tosin should sit this one out. In front of them, Palhinha straight back in. And I think that Lukic, Reed, I think you go Harrison, Reed, and then Andreas Pereira. And the 3 up front, I think it all depends on whether Willian's back. But if he is, I think that it's Solomon, Mitrovic, Willian.
That's so good. That's so exciting.
And suddenly, you know, I know that we weren't great on Sunday. In fact, we were pretty crap, let's face it. But what a difference that is. That's 3 huge upgrades in my eyes. Tosin to Diop in terms of defensively, and maybe not on the ball. Lukic, with no disrespect to him, he's only just come to England, but Lukic to Palhinha is a big improvement in terms of the steel of the midfield. And then Bobby Reed, who improved in the second half, but to Willian, the danger levels go up a lot in terms of causing teams issues, in my eyes.
Oh, you've got me going here, honestly. Solomon is so good. And he, in the first half, there was a couple of bursts he did against Arsenal that were really, he wasn't really going anywhere with the ball as such, but the way in which he jinked past 1 or 2 players was really nice. If he could take on, he'd be up against either Luke Shaw or Dalot, depending on if they switch sides sometimes.
Yeah.
Willian could give Shaw a good game. I'm sure that would be, well, pardon the pun, that would be really good. It's an FA Cup quarter-final where we're underdogs and we have nothing to lose, really.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have to go there very excited at the prospect of maybe getting a VAR decision in our favour, maybe going to extra time, maybe winning it on penalties. Like, there are variables in this game where it could just fall our favour, and we don't necessarily have to play at our best, and we could still come away with a result, and no one could say anything because we're in an FA Cup semi-final. And I think this run of fixtures that we've got after the international break with the Bournemouth, Everton, Villa, I can't remember, but
West Ham,
West Ham,
Leeds.
This was it. We at the beginning of the season in our preview show, we were talking about that run of fixtures going, we have to get points here.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, we'd like to get points, but it's not a necessity. I mean, well, it is because you still want to get more points.
But I see, yeah, we're not trying to get
the relegation
points
context
to stay up. Yeah,
exactly.
I see your point.
So this is it. This is the game now that's going to keep the season alive. And I said it the other day, like even having the season almost curtailed and finished now is actually quite refreshing, because in the last 10 years we've always had to be playing for something at the end of the season. Promotion, relegation, that's it. And it's just quite nice to it'd be quite nice to go down to Bournemouth and be like, you know what, we can just enjoy our day out here. If we win, we win. We lose, we lose. We're not really going to go down. We're not going to get into Europe. And I know, again, like I say, is that not the attitude to have? Well, maybe that's the case. I want to still get into Europe. I still want to fly out to wherever in the Septembers and the Octobers and have Thursday night games. That'd be great. But it will take a strain on the squad, and it will put a lot of pressure on the club to then perform for next season in the Premier League. Said it enough times now. But let's talk United predictions. What do you think is going to happen on Sunday at the Theatre of Dreams?
I really think that we're going to give them a good game, and I do think it's going to go to extra time, actually. I think it's going to be 1-1 after normal time. You know what? I'm too excited, Jack. We're nicking it in extra time. 2-1.
You have to back it.
Yeah, because you know what? Here's the thing. If we go there and lose on Sunday, I'll be gutted. Make no mistake about it, I'll be gutted. And for a few days, I really won't want to talk about it. Obviously, we will.
No Jack and Joshua next week if we lose.
Yeah. Or for the rest of the season, because the season's over. But that's exactly your point, and it makes complete sense. The season most likely will be over. There is still a chance of Europe, and obviously that's fantastic, and we should go for it. But if you'd have said to me at the start of the season, Joe, Jack, it's mid-March, you're getting to an FA Cup quarter-final, and you're safe, and you're 8th, I'd be really happy. I'd be absolutely over the moon.
Yeah.
I don't want the season to plateau from here. I want us to win every game. That goes without saying, but it just shows how far we've come, that with our season being over on Sunday, technically, that's a phenomenal achievement in itself. But that being said, what an opportunity this is. United are not unbeatable. Their last 2 games, they've lost 7-0 and they drew 0-0 with Southampton. Mitigating circumstances on Sunday with them being down to 10 men from the first half. Southampton have been very poor this season. That's still a very bad result. So let's go here. Let's not show them any respect, and let's go and try and get a result, because this is our chance now. We have nothing particularly riding on the league other than finishing in as positive a position in the top half as we can.
We want to finish in the top half, yeah.
We want to finish in the top half. We want to finish as high as possible. We want to finish 7th if we can. Let's face it, that's probably the maximum we could get at this point. Most likely is probably 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. But
that again is just so good.
Yeah. So let's go out there. Let's give it our all. We've got, looks like 3,000 fans going up there, including yourself, Jack, which will be a great turnout considering the prices, considering Mother's Day, considering being on terrestrial TV.
Yes.
But let's see what happens. And I think we're going to nick it. What do you think?
All those reasons you just laid as to why it's good to be up in Manchester United. My mum is up in arms that I'm there. You can watch it on TV.
Yeah.
I said, look, the FOMO, if you get to Wembley and you're not in that away end, you're going to be kicking yourself.
Yeah.
I know it's expensive. In fact, the prices itself was, I think if it wasn't a quarter final, I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Because of the prices. But the fact of the matter it is, and if we win, it's and my point being now is, if we get a penalty, regardless of the penalty shootout, Pereira has to take it.
Yeah.
Pereira has to take the penalty. Andy Pereira's first appearance back at Old Trafford since he's left, I think. So
yeah, it is.
He will be well up for it. And also Silva, knowing what I've seen from Silva this season, what he's saying in all his press conferences and stuff, he won't be wanting Fulham to get complacent if we go out the FA Cup in the league. We don't want that season to plateau. He will want the level of performance to be consistent. Because if we come out this season and go, well, Fulham started really well, but then they tailed off near the end, that's not as nice as to hear. Fulham have been really good this season, and they've shown the Premier League why they're a great asset to the league.
And I don't want to say it, Jack, but I'm going to say it, and I don't want to draw comparisons. Look at Sheffield United. There were videos on YouTube, and I know it's completely different circumstances. Can Sheffield United get into Europe? They tailed off completely end of the season. And look what happened. And I'm not saying that will happen. I don't think that will happen. I don't think Silver will allow that to happen this season, let alone next season. But all I'm saying is things in football can change very quickly.
And they were without fans of that season. They went down as well. There was no fans.
That's true. So Marco Silva just needs to make sure, and I think he will, that the standards are maintained, because we've had a blip. Fine. It was always going to happen. The performances were too good to maintain with the level of squad we've got, especially with the depth we've got. And I'm excited for Sunday to see a reaction, because I think we will get one.
My prediction is Fulham will take the lead via the penalty spot through Andres Pereira. United will equalise in the second half, and I think Fulham will win it either in like the 80th to 90th minute or in extra time first half. I'm not sure, but I'm going to back Fulham to win by 2-1.
By the way, oh my God, my nerves and sweat glands. If we take the lead in the first half of extra time, that 15 minutes will be worse than the playoff final against Brentford after Brian scored.
That was tough.
That was awful.
Two more things before we go. We are recording on Tuesday afternoon. A couple of hours ago, Luke Harris signed another contract. I mean, this is great. He got in the World Squad today alongside James and Wilson, and he signed another deal. Do you want to tell us a little bit more details about that?
Yeah, it sounds like he reached his 18th birthday about a week ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And the club have just taken no time at all, extend the contract to 2026. We've got an option of an extra year as well. And it's great. He seems really happy. Silva seems happy. The coaches from the youth side, like Hugh Jennings, etc., all seem happy. And it's great to see us not messing about. We've tied someone down, and rather than even letting the contract run down slightly since September when he first signed that deal, we've got him on an even longer one, and it's fantastic. And I hope to see him involved in some of the games between now and the end of the season, especially if it gets to a point where we're not particularly playing for much. Wouldn't it be great to see him deputise for Pereira every now and again, or at least come off the bench for a little bit? He's made, I think, only 3 Premier League appearances off the bench this season. I remember Villa, I remember City, I remember Palace. Obviously got some football in the Cup against Crawley. Less said about that, the better. But then he also got the football against Sunderland away when he played quite well in the first half. So it'd be great to see him get some more minutes. But more importantly, it's great to see Fulham learning from their mistakes and tying a youngster, really promising player down early.
I feel like every time we've tied someone down to a contract, the comments have been great, but now on to the next one. There's always another person that they want to... Willian, Marco Silva of the like.
Solomon,
Solomon, yeah. You're right in saying that I can't even... Obviously, when Carvalho came into the team, we were already relegated. Therefore, we were allowed to give... But it's nice to give... Would be nice to give Harris minutes in a context where, actually, we're safe and you can just go out and play and have a bit of freedom and really stamp your authority and show the Premier League and the audience like what you're made of. So that's exciting in itself. And finally, David Ornstein said we were linked with Grimaldo, the left back from Benfica. How exciting is this? I mean, that's a really nice player that we've been linked with there.
High profile, high quality player. And this is one thing we do have to look forward to in the summer regardless, because we're staying up. The summer's going to be great fun. We're going to be linked with some absolute humdingers, Jack, because think of who we're linked to when we're crap. Imagine when we're good. And the London pool, we've said it before, we're so lucky. It's different to another mid-table club, a different region of the UK, because people are attracted to the area. It's famous. Great place to live. It's just, and we've also got the money to pay them pretty decent wages in comparison with some of the top sides. So yeah, really excited. And there's been rumours like, will Robinson be on the list of players that is potentially on the way out this summer? We don't know. We don't know what asking price we'd ask for. But if we were going to sell Robinson, I'm not saying we should, or I'm not saying we will. But I don't particularly want to. But
No.
Grimaldo, that's not a bad player to be linked with as a replacement, is it?
No, Champions League level left back. That. Remember that Paul Rudd Hot Ones meme? Look at
I know
us.
what you're going to say.
Thought it?
Look at us. Yeah.
SW6 Essential.
Who
We're
would have
now
thought
there.
it? Jack, if we could have
Who
gone
would have
back
thought
after that, well, let's take it back to a similar game. Let's take it back to that Arsenal game in lockdown, and Ketty has
3-0?
just scored in the
that
97th minute. We know we're going down. It's not happened yet. We have no prospects for next season. Imagine saying that you're going to play Arsenal twice the next season, that you're up in the Premier League. One will be a really tight game. The other one will be a bit of a comprehensive defeat. But you're staying in the Premier League. You're in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, and you're actually tying down your youngsters. Unbelievable.
See, this is the perspective we need to have as fans. There was a lot of reactionary overreaction. Someone even tweeted that this has been a fluke of a season, which I could not believe. That it's very reactionary. We get it. Like, emotions of fans. I've been there in the past. United away, run it back when we're 3-0 down.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Jack. You better not get the camera out at Old Trafford on Saturday.
Camera won't be anywhere. Yeah, honestly. Well, actually, I wonder who's on the Instagram on Saturday. If we do get to Wembley, that's going to be a special story, I'm sure. Let's leave it there. Joe, aren't we just... I mean, yeah, we've come off a 3-0 defeat, but I've never been more spring in my step after a 3-0 defeat ever.
Yeah, let's just remember where we've come from, and what we've done this season has been way above anyone's expectations. We got a chance on Sunday to make history. And it's a one-off game. Anything can happen. Forget about whatever's happened on Sunday. This is our chance. So fingers crossed that anyone going up there or just watching from home, for example, me, enjoys it. And anyone there like you, Jack, have a great day, make a racket, and hopefully you witness something very special.
Oh, it really has some potential. The minimum I ask for is an improved performance. Yeah. And that's all we can give. Joe Sanson, what a pleasure it's been. Thanks so much for being here.
Pleasure. Thanks, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching, and enjoy the game.
Guys, the subscribers on the channel are going up by the day. This is unbelievable stuff. So we're really grateful for that. We also will be back next week to preview. Oh, I suppose it's international break, so maybe we'll have a week off.
Yeah,
we're not sure. Oh, depends.
Let's see
if we beat United
on Sunday. Let's see what happens on Sunday.
Oh, it's my brother's birthday on Monday, so I don't think let's do the live on Monday, but perhaps maybe Tuesday. We'll have to discuss it off air as we always
Jack,
do.
If we win on Sunday, there's no way you're back in London on Monday, surely. You've got to be straight out in town.
Matthew's coming up with me. It's his birthday on the 20th. If we win, I think we're going to have to put those stakes on hold. We're going to be out in, partying the night away. Really, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. Come on, Fulham. Let's try and get to an FA Cup semi-final. Stay safe, and you whites.